Hi everybody, Geo here. Today we're going to do chapter 23 for White Silk Lover. It is the aftermath. Friday, April 30th. Just before midnight. Tomas. I'm seriously pissed at my brother. Drunk, took a swing at me. He took another swing at Coby, ruined the wig. The only chill thing around here is Coby's hand, and I don't think the aspirin is working. Are you sure you're fine? I asked for the 20th time. Like me, he had changed out of his tux and into something better. His usual Sterling Lock t-shirt, blue shorts with a white stripe. The sleeves were ripped off and it displayed his tattoo. Sam only got me on the shoulder. I'm fine, Coby said. I'm on his right side so I don't bump into his hand or the leaking ice bag. The suite's private deck has a set of wicker patio chairs and a table, plus a wicker love seat. We're in that. There's not much of a view unless you like low flat buildings, the parking lot, and cars driving past. A siren erupted in the distance. While balancing the ice and his left hand on his leg, Coby placed an arm around me. In spite of it all, I had a great time tonight. Thanks for inviting me. Sterling knows how to throw a party, I said. Even brought a fight with him. Wasn't much of a fight, Coby said. Wait until the news gets hold of it. I let my fingers trail across Coby's knee. Coby has short leg hair that blends into the tan. That tickles, Coby said, and moved his leg away from my hand. I found his knee again. This time, I deliberately kept the touch light and ticklish. He pushed my hand away, giggling. The ice bag fell to the ground with a plop. I said, that tickles. Coby reached for the bag and placed it back on his hand. I let myself slump against his body, pulling his arm tighter around me. Finally, I'm happy. I'll be angry tomorrow at Sam. But right now, there is no person or place I'd rather be with or at right now. Of course, my phone rang. 6 people have the number. One is passed out. I'm sitting with another. Jerry has gone to bed. My ex is married and with his wife. That means it's one of my moms. The caller ID said Perrine. Hey, Mom. You wouldn't believe what's all over the news, Perrine said with a trace of a French accent. When she gets mad, she switched to French. Before you continue, I said, Coby's with me. You remember my boyfriend. I angled the phone to show both of us. Hi, Mrs. Blake. Do not be so formal. Perrine, please. She waved a hand and smiled. You are the one who saved my poor Sterling's honor. For a moment, neither one of us said anything. You'll have to explain yourself, Mom. It's all in the video. Sterling kissed the piano player and left the poor boy in a coma, walked away, and is attacked by someone. The picture was not very good. But up ran the piano player to save him, and then the piano player is attacked. It's great fun. I've seen it on 3 different stations, and the YouTube has it. Were either of you hurt? Not really, Coby said. I don't know what made Sam so angry. Mom didn't say anything. I mean, the other drunk guy, not Sam. Coby backpedaled. The ice bag fell on the floor again. I'm making this worse, aren't I? My mom spoke French faster than I could follow. Mom, slow down. You're going too fast. Mom didn't slow down. She sped up. My other mom, Akiko, came on screen, speaking French. Moms, Coby doesn't speak French, and I don't understand when you talk that fast. Akiko was the first to switch back to English. Perrine, I told you it looked like Sam. Where is Sam? I want to speak to him. Perrine steadied the phone so it showed both of my moms. Passed out in the other room, I said. He probably won't even remember this. That's why he's not answering his phone, Akiko said. What was the fight about? I was trying to take his champagne away. He'd already had too many. Coby slipped his arm back and pulled his phone out. Then Mom switched to French again. I found the video, Coby said. Do you want to watch? Coby sat at the piano, calmly playing. God, he looked good in that tux. And he was right. That was a nice piano. It started as an innocent night where Sterling Locke debuted his latest album, the announcer said. Sterling Locke saw the piano player and started flirting with one Coby Wood of Las Vegas. Then I kissed Coby, and the video paused and zoomed in for effect. And Sterling moved in for his classic kill. That was a nice kiss, Coby said under his breath. Yes, it was, I said and kissed Coby's forehead. The announcer said, Will music stooby Coby Wood be Sterling Locke's new conquest? The infamous star is known for his one-night flings with either sex, but that was the small part of the evening's entertainment. Things heated up soon after. Coby leaned into me this time, and I placed my arm around him. As he held the phone up, Coby adjusted the volume. I think you've had too much. Name garbled. The words were in subtitles. Sam mumbled something even the subtitles couldn't explain. Idiot, Sam yelled. Sam threw a punch that stuck in my wig. No, came from out of nowhere, but I recognized Coby's voice. The camera swung around, showing Joey and Coby rushing to my aid. Sam swung again and hit my boyfriend in the shoulders. Coby's went down. My hero, I said, laughing. Coby laughed a little. At least I saved your wig. That must have been some kiss for Coby to run to Sterling's defense, the announcer said. I laughed. It was funny. Coby laughed and settled deeper next to me. We rewatched it, and it was even funnier. Moms didn't find it funny. More French. Akiko had this habit of creasing her brow when she was upset. You tell Sam that we expect a phone call tomorrow morning. I will, Mom, if I'm around when he wakes up. I have a show tomorrow night, and rehearsal and sound check are tomorrow morning. We said our goodbyes and put our phones away. Coby picked up the melted bag of ice, settling it back on his hand. I like your moms. They're nice people. I was nearly a year old when they adopted me, I said. You ever meet your birth mom? Coby asked. Once, when I was 10. She was just a stranger, and we hugged. That's about it. She moved from the Czech Republic to the States and lives in Rhode Island now. We send Christmas cards and birthday cards, but we're not close. Coby adjusted the bag again. It was mostly water by now, with a tiny piece of ice. You've never talked about your family, I said. We should call them. Coby stiffened. I need to get some more ice. Saturday, May 1st, just after midnight. Coby. I took a breath and stood up. The one issue I dreaded had finally come up. I'll be right back. How's your hand feel? Better, I lied. Usually the ache faded after a while, but this one didn't. The cold wasn't working, not like before. I wanted it warm now. It was late. Maybe Tomas would forget, or maybe I could distract him somehow. If he knew the truth, he'd hate me, throw me out, and I'd lose everything all over again. After emptying the bag in the sink, I walked over to my duffel and pulled out another shirt and wrapped my hand in it. I had really pounded that piano, and I should have stopped much earlier. I took another aspirin. The lights were dim. Everyone was asleep somewhere, but Sam was the only one asleep in a chair. Poor guy. I wonder what made him go crazy. A stack of blankets was by the couch, and I unfolded one and put it on Sam. He snored, grabbed the edge of the blanket and pulled it up, mumbling something about books. The night was getting a little chilly, so I took another blanket outside for me and Tomas. He noticed the wrapped hand immediately. Ice didn't help? Serves me right. I knew better, but I kept going. As I sat beside him, I pulled the blanket around our legs. Tomas cuddled under it next to me. Maybe we should take you to a doctor. It'll be better tomorrow, you'll see, I said, hiding my wrapped hand under the blanket. Good. He forgot about my family. Sam's really snoring in there. What will happen when he wakes up? I don't know. I think Jerry's more pissed than me right now. You should have heard less when I was changing, Tomas said. Are they okay with us? I asked. Tomas found my right hand under the blanket and held it. I think so. I hope so. Nobody said anything, so I assume everything is all right. Why? Did they say something to you? Nothing, but Sam proved a bit distracting. We sat, staring at the dark sky. No stars, too many streetlights. My hand didn't ache as much. Maybe the aspirin had finally started working. You don't like talking about them, Tomas said. Your family. No, I don't. The words slipped out before I could stop them. One soft, simple phrase that carried years of emotion behind it. My heart pounded. Not as many cars passed on the street. A large semi did, rumbling along. When it had passed, Tomas said, Did something happen? We sat a long time. Minutes, maybe. My heart raced. One answer would end the conversation. The other would say more than I've ever told anybody. Even Kelly didn't know the worst part. One simple word would destroy everything I hoped for. Maybe it was time I stopped pretending I belonged here. Tomas needed to know the truth because I loved him. I whispered, Yes. It took a full breath before I could steady my emotions again. Another before Tomas spoke. Are they alive? I shut my eyes, picturing the nightmare 3 years ago and the months that followed. The answer leaked out of me. Yes, they're alive. Tell me what happened. I wanted to say, don't ask any more questions. Please let it drop. Instead, I said, you wouldn't understand. Why is this so hard? Tomas gently asked. I didn't answer. A burst of raw pain ripped through my chest. Kelly once said that you had been through a lot. Is this part of it? Yeah. I took a breath, finishing the sentence with a crooked smile. Part of me wanted to tell Tomas, even though I knew what it would cost. Even though it hurt, I couldn't look at him. You're doing it all. Nobody's helping you. College, job, singing, piano, gym. But you're barely holding on. Again, I tried to distract him, but I already knew it was no good. I fell in love with you. That makes it easier. Tomas kissed me on the forehead. Were they in a car accident? Are you an orphan? One lie and that would solve everything. I told the truth. It meant Tomas was getting too close. I was about to lose him. It was inevitable. No, they're alive. Saturday, May 1st. Tomas. Coby looked up at me, eyes wide, filled with unshed tears. I've never seen anyone look so lost or alone as he did. What have I stumbled into? I'm not sure I want to know the next part. I asked anyway. What happened? A clink sounded at the deck door behind us. Joey and Albert stood there, having changed into t-shirts and shorts. They held fluted wine glasses and a plate of something from downstairs. As he pulled his legs up, Coby hugged them, completely unaware of who was here. He shuddered and stared into the parking lot. I scratched his back, suddenly afraid I wouldn't like what I was about to hear. After he took a breath, Coby continued in a completely dead monotone. On my 18th birthday, I told my parents I was gay. The end of my senior year became the end of my life. They didn't like my lifestyle choices and kicked me out. I felt so ashamed I didn't tell anyone. For the last month of high school, I lived on the streets, washed my clothes in all-night churches or diners. I went to graduation smelling like a dumpster. No cap, no gown. Nobody cheered. Some kids laughed. The only sign of life on Coby's face was the single tear dripping down his cheek. Coby. As I squeezed my eyes shut, the shame of the nightmare came back. There I was in the gymnasium, kids and parents in their Sunday best, or caps and gowns, the graduate line dwindling, and there was dirty me, begging to pass. At first, nobody would let me walk. When everyone else had their fittings, I was begging on a street corner. I declined my yearbook so I could get a refund and ordered cheap burgers because I hadn't eaten for a couple of days. Coby, Tomas said. I had no idea. I didn't look at him. The night was cold and suddenly very quiet. Some teacher volunteered to let me wear his gown, and that's when they realized I was homeless. I was another kid that slipped through the cracks. Some motorcycle drove past, its engine ripping through the silence. Opening my eyes, I had to tell Tomas the horrible truth that would end the magic we had. My stomach turned to lead because I knew what was about to happen. I never went to prom. I never walked in graduation. The teachers didn't know what to do with me because I didn't fit in with their plans. So I left. I missed my own graduation, prom, senior picture, everything you do at the end of your senior year, because I didn't have the right clothes. I didn't have any clothes, except the ones I wore. Some taxi drove along the almost empty streets. When I looked up at Tomas, I couldn't tell what expression was on his face. He was a multi-millionaire triple platinum artist. How could he understand being so poor and so alone? Somebody needed someone to clean up a place, and I worked there while living in a homeless shelter. It was nearly a year before I earned enough for a down payment for my tiny apartment. It's okay. You're safe, Tomas said. Count down to losing everything in 10 seconds. Tomas. Some part of my stomach plummeted, and whatever I had for dinner became a dead weight. Joey and Albert had heard everything, and I didn't dare move or breathe. I held Coby, watching his face as he struggled through the emotion. It couldn't get any worse, could it? Clutching my hand, Coby turned and looked at me, his face void of tears. His beautiful voice quivered. If I tell you the rest, you won't want to have anything to do with me. I swore under my breath, because I should have seen it. It had gotten worse. You've never had a boyfriend, and you're not a virgin. You lived on the streets. That's why you never told anyone anything. Did you sell yourself? Coby paled. His hand had turned deathly cold. His voice was low, but I heard every word. 5 times. It was the only way I could get food. The last time I finished my down payment. A small gasp came from behind me. Joy, I think. Another tear slowly trickled down Coby's cheek. I'm sorry. I contrasted the nearly hyper-excited man who I had met a month ago, the amazing songwriter I had fallen in love with, the friend I could talk all night with, the man that became my boyfriend and took the emptiness away, with the vulnerable, fragile, almost broken man sitting next to me, the man who had dug himself out of a nightmare. This was the pain Coby could never talk about. This was what he used my music to work himself out of. My heart shattered. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for Chapter 23 of White Silk Lover. We'll continue the conversation between Coby and Tomas in our next chapter. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day.